Made the video. Like, if you watch our videos before, I supported Freely and Durian hard.
I know.
Every time somebody talks shit about them or whatever, I'm like, no, they're changing the world. They're doing great. And honestly, when all this was happening, this was one of the hardest videos we had to make. And it was like, no, we're going to stand for what we... And this was before vegan games.
I brought this video, like, Jay, we have to do this video. Jay's like, no, we're not doing
honestly,
it. He's like, fuck that.
I'm staying out of it. No, I can't do it. And then he starts pulling up a couple of videos. I start looking into it.
I have been following the story so closely, especially since the bloggies thing went down with Vegan Mojo. And that was just, for me, like with the whole like gay thing and all that, the fat shaming, fine, whatever. But like when you try and take down someone's channel and you're bitching about someone taking down, it just that right there. I could have made a video then, but you know.
Right. Well, that also takes integrity to just recognize, hey, you know, this is not okay. Because I mean, what happened with Vegan Mojo and Full Circle Vegan? In some ways, it is kind of trivial. Like, it's not as serious as what happened with me. But also, it shows who you're dealing with. It shows the character of people like Durian Ryder and Freely. It shows you who they are and how they really play the game.
Masters of critiquing to not being to dish it and not like especially with you. Your videos are not even like.
Yeah, I know.
You're not the type of guy to just slander. You actually like you might. Yeah. Like whatever, but it's all backed up with logical, like reasonable, like even if you're wrong, you're presenting it in a way that's like.
Well, I'll just say also.
You're just going against what they're saying. That's not like. That's called a conversation, like, you know?
Look, sure, I should just make a disclaimer because we talked about this. I am recording the audio, but not the video for this. So if you guys want to use this, I mean, I think this conversation is going really well. I was worried because I'm so sick. I haven't slept. I thought we wouldn't use it. But it seems to be going well. So if you want to use the audio, I can share it with you and I can podcast it or whatever. But if not. Okay. Cool.
Just to go back and take a look and see
Cool. Totally understand. But look, the thing I was going to say in response to what you just said now, because we can do whatever with the audio, but I just say it's going well. I was worried just because I'm so tired and so sick. I've been up coughing all night, so I just didn't think it was going to work out. And also my face looks pretty puffy because I've been sick. But hey, I don't do a makeup channel. But look, you know, one of the things I've always said, and I still say it now to my haters, to people I'm communicating with, when I'm communicating with people who literally are calling me a pedophile, which I think you guys will agree is not like, except this is not a debate. You know what I mean? If you're calling me a pedophile and sexual predator, I'm like,
when you call people that, you know what I mean?
I know. But sorry, wait, just let me finish this. What I was going to say is, one of the things I say to people again and again is, you don't have to agree with me. I'm not trying to force anyone to agree with me. I recognize that what I'm saying is actually edgy and stimulating, and like I'm not repeating the things that most vegans agree with. Whether I'm talking about like vivisection or pet ownership or even like habitat conservation, like forests. I was one of the people saying, look, why is it that nobody today in 2016 in veganism talks about habitat, like forests and bears, wild bears and shit? Like, why is it that it's edgy and it's stimulating, but like, you don't have to agree with me. And of course, most other channels, like Durian Ryder's in extreme cases, he's actually trying to force his followers to agree with them. What I'm saying is, I've got something that I think is really worth talking about. And if you want to take that in your own direction, that's great. Like, I really believe in democracy in that sense. I really think we all become wiser if you want to hear what I'm saying and disagree with it. But I mean, obviously, like, don't slander me. Don't say I'm a pedophile. But, but still, I really do encourage that. And whether it's 2,000 people who appreciate that or whether it now grows to 10,000 or something, I don't really care. But I've never been trying to get this cult-like following that so many other channels are pursuing of sitting there and saying, I'm right, here's the truth, and either you agree with me or you're not vegan. Because in a sense, the most pathetic insult against me, when you think about it, why would Durian Ryder say I'm not vegan? Which he's always said. Like, it's a really weird insult when you think, but why am I even talking about this shit if I'm not vegan?
I mean, he put on our comment section. We're also in the fake vegan club, by the way. Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah.
Okay.
Well, just guys. So you guys are older than I thought you were. Have you guys actually been to university or no? If you haven't, that's great. If you're surviving without, that's great.
Well, we went to college for 2 years.
Okay, cool.
And then we pursued online poker for 4 years after.
No kidding.
The college, I've seen people that had graduated ahead of me and they were not getting any jobs in their field.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
Luckily, someone showed us an online poker game at the basement, and then we just developed some skill, and we were like, well, I think we're pretty good at this, so let's do that. So
Yeah.
5 years we did that, and
We were actually like top 10 in the whole world for our buy-in in like 2009 and 2008 and stuff. It was pretty wild back there.
So your career was as professional gamblers. Technically, that's what that's called. Professional.
We were semi-professional poker players.
I could do it right now if I wanted to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We could do it right now, but we turned it into a YouTube grind.
Well, that's what it was. It was about the freedom. It's like I never agreed with like the whole structure. But anyways, the poker gave us the time to like. Yeah. We basically at one point we moved into the middle of the woods, and just studied and did research on ourselves and the universe and like just really understood who we are to get our emotions. And this is where we developed a lot of our like just who we are and developed like. You know, just like being able to.
No, we found out that there was more to life than just us here. There's actually there's a lot going off, you know, out of here, and we're just coming here for lessons. And life is actually a purpose. We're trying to gather skills to take them with us. So we started learning.
We're not saying there's this almighty God or call him whoever you want, but there is. We believe in a soul and reincarnation, and we've done enough to see that it's true. And there's like a purpose. We're all here to actually learn something. And once we're all actually one, so we have to learn it collectively. And once like we get to that threshold of what we're supposed to learn, something's gonna happen.
No.
So just to be clear, when you were out in the woods, were you sober or were you guys high on mushrooms? No offense. Okay, cool.
That's when I stopped drinking, stopped smoking, stopped everything out there. It was perfect.
So I'm also
really got true clarity. Like really started thinking clearly for the first time. I saw the life go. I saw the world just heading down the shitter, and I was getting depressed. Didn't know why I was here at this time, and really found purpose after that.
Yeah, I remember being in college and literally like going through the thing like I have to watch my family die. I gotta die. Like I'm like literally cried myself. It was so bad, and then I got like there must be something going on, and to realize that like that. I mean, of course your body dies, but there's something of you that moves forward, and there is a like. I don't know about UFOs and all that stuff. I mean, I absolutely believe in that stuff. And there's a grand scheme. There is like, so what's going on Earth is so genuine. And what we're supposed to be learned can't be read in a book. It can't be taught. It needs to be learned for yourself.
So you guys have probably guessed that I don't believe in any of this stuff you just mentioned. It's cool. I mean, I totally build friendships with people who disagree with me. I've got friends now.
Sorry, the one thing we can all agree in, love is the answer. That's what we can agree.
I just say I've got friends now who are vegans, who are conservative Christians. I got one vegan friend who's a Mormon, you know, and she's a conservative Mormon. She like believes masturbation is evil. I don't know. World's gonna fall apart if people stop masturbating. From my perspective, gonna be riots in the streets, man. You know, I mean, I myself, I have a background. I used to be a scholar of Buddhism. I used to be a Buddhist. So I've got an appreciation for a diversity of people. Obviously, in veganism, I feel there's this huge voice that's being ignored right now on YouTube, which is actually Buddhist and Hindu vegans. And in many ways, like when I say they're the future, just like the next 5-10 years, they're going to be a big part of what's going on. Like I don't mean 100 years from now is another question, but people coming over to veganism from those religions that are already like where there's already a little bit of a tendency towards veganism, I think that's probably where a lot of the growth potential is. But anyway, obviously there's potential everywhere. But, you know, I just mentioned you guys, you know, in terms of belief in the soul and destiny, Buddhism was founded, interestingly, Buddhism was founded with a belief in reincarnation, but not...
If we had to pick one religion...
Right. Well, but this was interesting, contrast to what you just said, but not a belief in the soul and not a belief in destiny. So it actually rejected those things. So it claims there is reincarnation, but there is no soul, and there is no destiny in the sense of a god planning the future or a group of gods planning the future. The gods in Buddhism are kind of just like people with superpowers. They're kind of like superheroes in comic books. They do have gods, but they're not really planning your future or destiny or anything. So anyway, I just say you guys, there's a lot for you to play around with. But that's a remarkable story. You went from amateur bodybuilders being professional gamblers doing poker to being vegan advocates. So.
Well, the poker, I felt hollow. I was sitting there clicking the mouse every day. I would just sit there 16 hours, click, 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 and I literally watched the numbers go across the screen.
I can totally imagine. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so in my soul, I totally knew I wanted to do something about that, and the poker was not fulfilling what I had in my heart. I was making money, but it wasn't making me happy. So we really had to step back, and we were like, "What are we gonna do?" And then the YouTube was just the next step. After we found out about veganism.
I just asked because I don't know. Is YouTube now your only job? Because I mean, do you have another job also? Okay. Wow. Okay.
We just stopped it's our third month now, right now.
Cool. Oh wow. Okay. Because I remember a video of yours from a while ago. Like maybe this is more than a year ago. But you guys were actually working on like on a rock quarry. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. I thought, wow, finally we got some vegans who do a real job.
Yeah, well, that was our thing. We like stopped playing poker and like we had to like restart everything. We're like we're gonna do the vegan YouTube and like with the poker you have to dedicate you have to get submerged. There's no time for anything else.
Yeah.
So with a job we could find time to shoot videos.
Sure.
And then work ourselves from there.
Sure. But also, so I myself am more of a kind of academic and bookish character, but I know a lot of guys like that, guys who got PhDs and so on. And when they've been through it for a few years, what they wish they could find is honest work. And manual labor, when it's honest work, when it's not killing people or doing so, when it's not working in a slaughterhouse or something, that is something really precious in life. And you guys, you may or may not have heard me say this, but right now I'm considering for my long-term future opening a small hotel. And of course, it would be a vegan hotel, and I could have like vegan events there once in a while. But for me at this age, I would prefer to run a small hotel than to have a PhD. Even though I know, running a small hotel, it means cleaning the windows, mopping the floor. It's very humble work in many, many ways. And it means standing there and talking to guests and talking to tourists, and then practicing languages also. Studying languages is a lot of what I do. But for me, and again, I know a lot of guys with PhDs who would rather be in the rock quarry. I know it sounds crazy, but it's really true. Because in terms of how you feel when you have a job where you have to be dishonest with people or you have to lie or something, honest work is hard to find. In 2016, it's hard to find.
No, that's how we found the quarry, man. Every time I go there, it was peaceful. It was just us and the stone, and that was it. They pay me at the end of the day, hard work, come home, and I would get something out of it. I'd feel strong at the end of the day, and
right.
Really used it to like, and it wasn't like we were always going to be in the rock quarry. We knew there was a means to an end the whole time. We had a plan. So honestly, for me, I kind of embraced it, right. On my music player, I would just put like battle music and the craziest things just to get myself pumped up.
Basically, if anyone says we didn't work hard for it, please, you spend a summer in the rock quarry and give me a call, please,
or a couple of years, like we did.
So actually, when I finished university, so I have this largely useless diploma in political science. And I think right now, YouTube is the only place where political science is useful because there's no job that it leads to. But, yeah, right. It's funny for me. But when I finished that, actually what I decided was that I would become a pharmacist, which sounds, is totally different, totally unrelated. But what I wanted to do was a combination of humanitarian work. You guys have already heard me talking about that, helping poor people in Cambodia and places like that. I wanted to do humanitarian work and research, and I thought being a pharmacist was a nice kind of technical field where you could include that in humanitarian work, earn enough money to do humanitarian work, but it's not really taking up your whole life. And it was already for Asia, for the place in Asia that I did go and live directly, and I already had other scholarly interests. So my parents completely refused to support that, which is bizarre. I mean, most people, when I tell them that, it's like, why would your parents like refuse to let you become a fucking pharmacist? Like, it's such, if I said I wanted to become an actor or a movie star or a musician, I understand why your parents might say no. But I wanted to become a pharmacist. They said no. They absolutely refused. I was like, well, okay, I'll get another job to support myself while I'm becoming a pharmacist. And I applied to become a bricklayer. So that's this same kind of hard physical work. And it was for the same reasons. It's that honesty, whatever. You wake up, you haul bricks. You know what I mean? You go to bed with a clear conscience, and that's... Right. And, it's kind of energizing. You're not going to sleep at night worrying about what you're going to do at work the next day. It's going to be another pile of bricks going up the hill.
Not to think about it because the bricks are waiting.
Right. So, but my parents, they were even more horrified by that, and they absolutely refused to let me become a bricklayer, even temporarily, because I wouldn't have done it for the rest of my life. So that was the time I ended up moving to Hong Kong. Getting a job there, and that started my whole crazy life in Asia for years and years, where I had nothing but a backpack, and I lived in all these places. So this brings us back. I mean, obviously, we got to talk about the drama a little bit. So like when people in Chiang Mai asked me, like, what are you doing in Chiang Mai? It was like, I've been coming here for more than 10 years. Like, this is really a part of my life. That's part of the answer. The other part has to do with the job I've got. But I was not there to gate crash Roto 4. I was not there to cause trouble. It was a weird coincidence that I was there at that time. It really was a coincidence. But way back, so I guess 2002, 2003. Then I started living in Hong Kong, and I started doing jobs in museology related to museums in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Thailand, and that brought me to Chiang Mai for the first couple times. And then after that was done, I then moved to Laos, and my adventure continued. But it was really in many ways the opposite of what I wanted to do. Again, as you guys know, I'm an atheist, I'm a nihilist, I'm not religious. But in a lot of ways, what I wanted is more like the kind of humble Christian vision of, honest work, whether it was the bricklayer or the pharmacist. And again, it is very similar to Christianity, or of course some forms of Buddhism, that what I wanted to do was have a life devoted to humanitarian work and a kind of service, public service. And again, for me, being a pharmacist is like that. It's a very simple job being a pharmacist, but you are helping people.
So did you have to do a job that was dishonest that made you want to do this work more, or was it just were you not being fulfilled at the job you were doing? What led you to think you wanted to do more honest work or more humble
Sure.
work?
Ethics is a large percentage of what I'm ranting on about on my YouTube channel, and I can say I've always been like that. I could figure out when in my teenage years I started being like, but ethical philosophy has been a huge part of my life from an early age. And I mean, the sad thing is that even within humanitarian work, the ethical problems are terrible. It's very easy to do unethical and evil things when you're employed in humanitarian work. So just mention again, this relates to the drama indirectly. It's hilarious to me that people are saying, I went to Thailand to...
Isel, can I just say one thing? Can I just stop this phone call to make sure everything's good and then call you back and we'll
start
from the top and do an introduction type thing?
All right, if you want. Okay, we'll reboot. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, we'll reboot. Perfect.
Cool.
I'll call you in a sec.
Da, 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 da.